when I was a young kid. I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, have three older brothers, or two older brothers, excuse me. I'm the youngest of three. And my older brothers were incredible athletes. We come from a very athletic family, football, baseball, basketball, but mostly once we got older, it was football to baseball. And I got tired of following in my brother's footsteps. And so it was, after my freshman year of high school, I was like, yep, I'm going to go out and go on my own. And so I transferred into another school. I can actually remember the conversation. I walked up to the coach, and it was Coach Trevathan, and I looked at him, and I guess what I'm getting at, I was a pretty cocky kid. This is the story. I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Coach Trevathan, I'm Matt Curran," and he goes, "Oh, you're a Curran," and I was like, because I knew my brothers, and I was like, "Yes," and I said I just transferred in, and he knew I had transferred in because word had gotten to him, and he goes, "All right," he goes, "We're looking forward to seeing what you can do," and I said, "Coach, I'm gonna play varsity football for you." And he goes, "We'll see. You got to prove it." And I said, "But I got one issue." I said, "We're getting ready to play in the state championship for baseball, and that might take me to the Southeast Regional." And he goes, "Well, then you won't be playing varsity football for me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So what ended up happening is we lost. We lost the state championship to an incredible team. And yeah, I was one of two sophomores that played varsity football. I ended up starting at defensive back the whole year there. And then I was one of one sophomores that played varsity baseball. And so here's where my story really, really kind of gets going is we played a game. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I went out and had a great game. I was 3 for 4. I remember it just like yesterday because of what happened. I was 3 for 4 and had a good game in center field. I played center field at the time. Went out that. So who are my friends? My friends were all junior seniors, mostly the seniors, had kind of taken me under their wing. Well, what do high school kids do? Go out and
Stupid
drink,
things.
stupid things.
Yeah.
Well, went out and drink. I remember getting some alcohol. I remember taking, turned it up, Jim Beam. And that's about the last thing I remember. That's the first time I ever put alcohol. First time I ever drank alcohol as a sophomore. I was 16. Woke up the next day in the hospital. And yeah, tubes coming out of your nose, your mouth, your, IVs, heart monitor on you. That's kind of a rough way to wake up as a 15, 16-year-old kid. I think it was 15 actually still at the time. And it was brutal, and so if you go forward from there, that wasn't the bad part. That wasn't the bad part. I recovered from that. But what was going on is we had this little fraternity thing in our high school, and they had an event the next 2 weeks later, and it happened to another guy, a guy named James. And they would look at James in one breath, and they'd say, "James, we're sorry about what just happened to you." They'd look at me and they would say, "Otis, you're a drunk." And they would call me Otis because of Andy Griffith, the town drunk, and Andy Griffith. And that at that school became my nickname is Otis,
Mm.
and it stuck. And so as a 15-year-old kid, cocky kid, it really got confusing and frustrating for me. It's like, well, why are they coming at me so hard? But then in the same breath, they'll tell James that they're sorry that that happened to him. And it was the same group of people. And
Mm.
so fundamentally, it changed who I was as a person.